Number 15. This video was taken at a medical center in Ulhasnagar, India. At first, it seems like an escaped patient is scaling a column to get to the second floor, but look closely and you'll see some of their movements are quite unnatural. For one thing, this person appears way too light, almost like they weigh almost nothing at all. Look how they reach up with their left hand and grab onto a completely flat section of the wall at the 9-second mark. There doesn't even appear to be anything to hold on to, but somehow pull themselves up. Their arms and legs are way too long here, and it looks constantly hunched over even when it climbs. Whatever this is, it barely looks to be human. Number 14. The Waverly Hills Sanitarium in Kentucky has been condemned since the early 60s, though the spirits of its former inhabitants are thought to still roam its rubble-filled halls. Lindsay Rogers leads a ghost hunting team through the dark asylum, and it isn't long before they are engulfed by paranormal activity.
What the? Holy sh!
It sounds like a door opens, and you can see Lindsay looks right, but the door is still shut. There's a second banging noise that almost sounds like a body hitting the ground. Though without more video footage, we'll never know for sure. Number 13. A man from an unknown country is checking an old apartment when he is confronted by the spirit of its former inhabitants. First, something whispers behind him in another language, possibly Arabic, followed by movement. Then they slam the door he just walked through and raise the lock in midair, something that a person would not be able to do just from banging really hard on the other side. Orbs are going crazy, although it is pretty dusty in here. Anyway, pay attention to this side of the room. No one is here, yet in moments a pop flies from this direction, and when he turns around you can see the room is completely empty. Phantom figures crouch low behind doorways and promptly disappear, and when he hears these running footsteps overhead, he knows it's time to leave fast. They sound heavy and are heading straight his way. Number 12. It's 10:30 at night when a vehicle's headlights chance upon a large and mysterious creature in the road. It's hard to make out, but the creature appears to be in a ready stance, with its head low to the ground. I thought it could be a possum because of its coloring, but it's far too large. Something about the way it's standing doesn't look natural to me. So let me know what you think this is, and if it's even from this world. Number 11. This cat is playfully smacking around a Brillo pad when it stops to look straight up, ears back, completely frozen, almost as if someone invisible is standing over it. Next, an orb floats upwards and makes it jump straight into the air. After a while, the house pet regains interest in its toy, only to stop and look around again, slightly bewildered. It looks at its owner briefly and then follows the orb with its head in a swooping motion. Possibly the very same orb as before. There's no doubt that the cat sees something out of the ordinary as it tracks the orb perfectly. Both times it completely loses interest in the toy and seems somewhat alarmed over an unseen presence. I guess there could be some other explanation, but if I was alone and saw all of this going on, I would definitely question if my house was haunted. Number 10. It's 6 in the morning, and a YouTuber named Sheezy is about to go home after a long shift at the hospital. All he needs to do is return this 1-ton X-ray machine and then clock out. Unfortunately for him, the elevator gets stuck on the 5th floor and suddenly drops to the 1st floor without warning. It happens so fast that the floor numbers don't even register until the very end, but it's not over yet. The elevator rushes from the ground floor to the 5th floor, ready to drop again, and if that X-ray machine slides back and pins him against the wall, it wouldn't matter if he's at a hospital or not, because it's going to flatten him in seconds. This time he hits the emergency stop before he can drop again. After a minute and a half, engineers rush to get him out of there. Number 9. A YouTuber named Angelo Black gathers some friends and together they head to a local tunnel that's rumored to get more terrifying and dangerous the farther down you go. They begin their journey with the goal of going deeper than anyone has dared to before. Laughing and joking at first, but soon growing more serious as they huddle close, banding together against a gnawing claustrophobic dread that nobody wants to be the first to acknowledge. Eventually, they find a lonely portion of pipe that is next to no graffiti and bravely keep going. After traveling a great distance, they're now staring down an even narrower passageway that feels wrong enough to make all of them stop. One of them asks who's there, and this wild growl comes from the darkness within.
Come on, closer. Who's there?
Before they even have time to react, the camera person thinks a face is looking at them, which I don't see, but I do hear this faint moan shortly afterwards. It's definitely coming from up ahead.
Wait.
The moan soon changes into the same growl again, even louder this time, that I think might actually be a rusty old drain pipe letting loose. Still, I wouldn't take any chances by sticking around, especially not after I heard this. Their phone mysteriously stops recording at this point, and they get out of there fast. But whether it stopped recording because of a low battery or because of paranormal interference has never been verified. Number 8. A paranormal team led by Derek Reese sits around the old family room of a haunted house in an undisclosed location. One of them must be sensitive to spirits because he asks them if they feel anything, and maybe he accidentally channels something into the room.
Oh my god, don't mess with me, please.
No, I'm not.
You can see everyone except for one person when the knock happens, but her hands are in her lap under a pillow, so no, it's not her. Later on, they are looking at old videos when two visual artifacts appear. One is pink and one is green, and neither of them will go away no matter what they try. And that's when they hear creepy singing and a deep voice say something like, "Get away from the door." The audio is pretty low quality, but what do you hear? Number 7. This video, titled "Proof They Do Exist, Ghost Swinging on Light," was taken at a body repair shop at an undisclosed location. There are only 2 fans, both off. One is even pointed at the ground, yet this light is going crazy. It's even weirder when you see that both the next light over and the one furthest away are hanging still as can be. Here's another video of the shop taken on a different day. Watch for anything weird and tell me what you find, because I see nothing to cause this. There are no vents in the ceiling, so what could this be? Number 6. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Danny is checking out a chapel cemetery that is so haunted. They only feel comfortable approaching by day. They have all been here before, but this time they are disappointed to find that commercial locks are in place and that everything looks to be boarded up. Still, they are determined to get inside, and they keep moving along the perimeter, searching for another way in. After a while, the camera person feels watched and makes the mistake of looking up.
How come you're not getting through them boards, eh?
I'm there! He's there! I'm there!
Watching over them is a frowning, pale figure with solid black eyes. I guess this could be one of their friends, but given the new measures taken to keep trespassers out, I don't see how this is possible. You would think that they would run at such a sight, but this encounter only makes them more determined to bust a new way inside, which they eventually do. They soon reach the interior steps and feel watched again. The figure is staring back at them from above once more, perhaps twice as displeased to learn they've gained entrance. This time, they all duck into a room and watch it silently pass. The thing retreats down a long hallway, but when Danny follows, it's the last glimpse any of them get of it before scattering. Number 5. A chef and his apprentice rummage around the kitchen to do some last-minute prep work before opening. One of them undoes the plastic ties from all of the bread and then takes a few steps away. Moments later, he looks over only to see a single remaining piece of bread raise itself in the air and land in the corner with a smack. He tries to explain what happened to a coworker as he examines the bread for anything wrong, finding nothing. I was waiting for it to jump back out after he throws it away, but I guess it's done moving for now. Everybody probably thought he was going crazy, and maybe he did too, until they checked out this haunting video for themselves and posted it online. Number 4. A professional snake handler jumps in his tank with 3 of his meanest pythons to show that they are relatively tame. His demonstration backfires though, when the large albino lunges at him multiple times. This really wasn't the best idea in the world, but I think he could have pulled it off if he had only made less hand gestures when speaking. It seems like the snake is mostly attracted to his hand movements, which often look like the rapid twitching movements of prey. I think his left hand gets the snake's attention here.
It's the big New Year's Day, and we just...
The giant reptile seems to calm down until he moves his hand again to thrust an index finger in the air.
The real mean one's the other one.
After 3 lunges in 2 minutes, he decides to wrap up the video before the python wraps him up instead. Number 3. This black spider reaches the end of a room and finds itself cornered by the camera. Here you can see the exact moment it turns around and sizes up the human standing before it. It lifts its head slightly to better hold them in its 8-eyed gaze. There is nothing left for the outsized insect to do but stand its ground, so it spreads into a wide stance to make itself look as large and as frightening as possible, wiggling its tiny front arms as further warning. But the display of intimidation does not work at all. The person continues to record, completely oblivious as to what's about to happen to them next. The spider seems to miss the camera and probably lands somewhere on her hand or her arm, or if she was close enough, maybe even tangled in her hair. Number 2. A YouTuber named Ghost Robo is taking some questions from fans. They talk about everything from going back to school to Transformers, and then they take a quick break to make some minor adjustments. Let's see. The room cools off and the conversation picks up until a real-life jump scare leaves them wide-mouthed and pale.
Pretty cool. I never watched the show or anything, but they're pretty cool.
Jake is a Transformer, that's the
The lightning sounds so close that I seriously wonder if it struck the side of their house. Either way, it takes the 3 of them over 30 seconds to compose themselves and carry on. I've got a challenge for you. Since you've made it this far, why not like this video and hit subscribe in the next 5 seconds? Because we upload a new scary video every week. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. Number 1. These people are getting on an elevator that is far from normal. Aside from being rigged with hidden cameras, the bottom is set to drop with them still inside. Okay, not really, but close enough. Each floor panel is actually a high-definition television playing a separate video that, when played together, creates the illusion of the elevator bottoming out. If you were looking straight ahead and expecting a smooth ride, seeing this out of control of your eye would really be enough to send you screaming. And when combined with sound effects coming from the speakers, these poor participants didn't really stand a chance. The illusion looks so real that it takes one of them a few seconds to realize that they weren't actually floating in air. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!